Subscribe to MAMI Mumbai Film Festival and hit the bell icon to keep yourself updated on conversations on Dial M for Films.
So many times you as a director just have to learn how to be calm and absorb.
Honestly, every genre has been done. Every take has been done, because the only thing different in this entire thing is you and your take.
You got an acting offer pretty early on.
Worst decision of life, yeah, Smriti. I could have been a hero.
It was really hard. It was really hard because a couple of months, like, okay, where are my friends? So I was like, what happened? Please, somebody help me, love me.
Here we go to the nerd alert part. For the sake of brevity and for the sake of your understanding, I've taken the liberty to use a tool using steel plates. Really, I don't have a geometry box to make a chart. Do not laugh, please. Be kind.
Welcome to another session of Dial M for Films. I want to once again start this session by thanking everyone for the overwhelming response to the series and for the immense love. For me, for the entire team at MAMI, and for the fantastic mentors that give us time every week. The only purpose of putting these sessions together is that maybe someone sitting out there harboring the cinema dreams is having a difficult day or not getting the help they might need, might find inspiration, a spark, a direction, some relief or resonance in these sessions. Today we have on the show an actor, model, writer, director, chef, dancer. I'm already exhausted, the immensely talented and humble to a fault Sheetal Menon. Sheetal's hunger to perform began with dance. Her father was in the army. Sheetal tragically lost him when she was just 6. She and her sister were brought up by their mother single-handedly. Despite economic and logistical challenges, Sheetal's mother always encouraged her daughters to study and stay true to their dreams. Their life was tough, but it was not one without hope. Sheetal finished her studies and shifted to Mumbai in 2003. She was an instant hit in the modeling world. Her first advertisement, Clinic All Clear, had her on a giant hoarding in the city. The same year, she walked the ramp at the very prestigious Lakme India Fashion Week. Many campaigns and covers followed. She was also part of the coveted Kingfisher calendar in 2005 and 2008, but Sheetal knew that acting was her dream. A few music videos and short films later, she made her debut as an actor in 2008 with Brahm. The film did not do much for her. In the years that followed, we saw glimpses of what she could do on screen in My Name is Khan in 2010 and Shaitan in 2011. But things had come to a bit of a standstill for Sheetal as an actor. She made a dramatic resurgence 6 years later with Bijoy Nambiar's anthology Flip and her first short film as director, in which she also plays one of the main leads, Siblings. Siblings premiered at the MAMI Mumbai Film Festival last year and won the Critics' Choice Shorts and Series Award for Best Film Fiction, Best Writing, Best Actress and Best Director Fiction. The widespread acclaim has brought Sheetal back into everyone's consciousness, but most importantly, Sheetal earned her dream back, created her own destiny when things seemed bleak with her dogged perseverance. Sheetal Menon, welcome to Dial M for Films.
So happy to be here, Smriti, and thank you for having me. And this was really emotional. Like, we can finish the session now.
I hope not. I think the number of people who plugged in and the people who signed up for your session, Sheetal, they're all here because they're deeply interested in your process and the fact that you could literally make that shift from an actor to a director, and it's one of those very tough steps to take. Of course, you make it look easy, but I'm sure it wasn't. So I first of all want to go back a little bit and try and understand what fascinates me. Of course, everything about you fascinates me, but I want to start by asking you that how does a shy girl in Nasik with no background in films or a film watching culture at home harbor dreams of becoming an actor and have the courage to embark on that journey?
I'm still very shy, Smriti. But I was much, much worse as a kid. And this may sound silly to everyone, but I think my struggle started from home when, I used to struggle even stepping out of my home. It was some sort of a social phobia I had. And like just stepping out of my house and just going out would just make me so nervous, absolutely awkward and quiet person. And I wanted to be Anil Kapoor from Mr. India. I wanted to be like invisible the minute I stepped out of my house, so that people couldn't see me and I could just see the whole world. So one day, my mother, she took me to a dance school. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my mom. When I was much, much younger, I remember like watching my mother on stage as a performer. And this was back in Gujarat when my dad was posted in Gujarat. And she was this lady who was such a active woman. She could be like performing on stage, doing drama, dance, singing, to sports and excelling, winning trophies. Like for me, it was like she's my mother on stage, and I was so much in awe of her, watching her perform with so much joy and like happy. After like 2-3 years, I lost my father, and our life changed completely. And my mother had to take up a job, and she started working full time, and she was not that same person who I saw, and real struggles of like taking care of us to all that. And life just changed overnight for us. But I think something in her, like she wanted us to be like, besides our studies, she wanted us to be like, learn something more, and be it pursue your music or dance. And she felt that we should do that, and that was her first step. And she took me to a school, and I fought with her. What my struggle was, not going to a dance school, but to just travel the distance from my house to my dance school was really far. I said, I'm not going to travel. I'm not doing this. And she said, no, you have to do it. You will take a bike and go to the class, and because I'm not going to come and drop you every day. So I cried for days, and then finally, I'm so glad that she pushed me to do that. And that's it. Joining that dance, I think it just slowly, it transformed me as a person where, I was this person with so much baggage, like whatever that I was going through, I was too young to even understand. And, it slowly, I saw myself change, and it was liberating. I was happy doing what I was doing. I was a little confident. So all that it gave me, but it was only when I was practicing. The minute I was out of that class, and I'm still that same awkward, shy person. So, this two personality, I was like, I want to be this person. And, and I was leaning more towards that. Cut to my first year in college. And my college life was terrible. I didn't enjoy my college life at all. But I had some great memories from my...
Why is that? Why didn't you enjoy your college life?
Same, this problem issue. And then, just like go quietly, and there are people around. I mean, however they are. And it was not really a space that I enjoyed. I think I enjoyed my school life more than my college. but some good memories out of that was I got this opportunity to take part in this youth festival competition, and that was my first year in college, and I was part of that competition. It was very difficult to even get through that. My problem was to go and fill a form, and which I couldn't. And I came back home crying to my sister, like, I can't fill a form or I can't apply for it. And it's like, what's the big deal? You have to just go and fill a form. So she did that for me. And I remember that when I was selected for that, and the whole experience being on stage for the first time, it was kind of my debut on stage in front of this large audience. And the kind of love I got from the audience, it was something that just assured me that this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't know, be it an actor or dancer, but it felt the same way when I saw my mother performing on stage and how happy I was. I just, it just validated all that for me to kind of pursue this ahead. So yeah, that's my that's my start. And coming to that little bit, I remember next day going back to my college, and my professor, English professor, just walks in, and he starts talking, and he suddenly, for him, it was, who's Sheetal Menon in the class, okay? And I was like too shy to even raise my hand. I'm like, and then he asked me again, and then I was like, awkwardly, I just got up and said, sir, it's me, and all awkward and shy. And she said, did you participate in this competition? Because your name has come in the paper, Nasik Times, and you won the competition. I didn't even know that. And I got to, hear from my professor. And I think those are some of the best memories of college. Yes.
Was there applause in the class? Was there applause in the class when they got to know that you won the competition? Did everyone cheer for you?
Yes, and I wanted to disappear.
But you came to Bombay, and you came to Bombay in 2003. You became a very successful model. I mean, there were challenges, but you became a very successful model. You got acting opportunities, but maybe not the kind of work that you really wanted to do, and the kind of work that you wanted came very sporadically. What were the primary challenges at that point of time?
Going back to, I think, challenges were there right from the beginning. And I think it's to anybody who's new in the city and trying to kind of navigate your way around to finding, all that happened initially to, I got this offer, this campaign happened. And soon after that, though even modeling was new turf for me, but I got busy and I started getting work very fast, and things happened too soon and too fast, and immediately after that, and I think it was just I got this offer for this film, my first film. I went and auditioned for it, and I was signed for that film. So things were just moving too fast for me before I know. I thought like modeling happened, it was easy. Yes, you have your challenges, but I was totally enjoying that whole journey, and I had to kind of, I said, I'm sure even this is not going to be hard, but that film was not a great experience, honestly, as an actor, like my first film. Two, unfortunately, that film didn't do well. And it's sort of, like I was labeled as a model who can act, stories like that. Have to kind of take all that and just move on. It's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. So you move on. And what do? You just, I think work still happens slowly here and there. But I was not very happy with the kind of work that was coming my way. Also, as a model, there was calls for all the item number songs, and you should do this, maybe that give you some more whatever, recognition and whatever. So I kept saying no to a lot of that, and I I took a backseat, and I said, let me just take my time and figure it out, because uh, uh, I was not very happy with how it was, going for me. So around that time, I remember Vijay was starting his first feature film, and
Shaitan,
it was
Shaitan.
Shaitan. And I, I was jobless. There was no work. I had like a lot of free time in hand, and I decided that, chalo, It's not like chalo karlo, because it was Bijoy's friends who came to help him. They were his ADs, so I was one of them. I joined the team. So what happened was I didn't go with the whole. It's very important to know that why I'm doing it. What was my reason? My reason was I'm free. I have I need to utilize my time doing something constructive. So I'll do this. Not to learn filmmaking. I don't know what I was getting into.
You just wanted to be, I think you just wanted to be around film. You wanted to do something film related and you wanted to occupy yourself.
Yeah. So, the whole experience for me it was overwhelming. And, now when I look back, I feel like, even if you are, part of a set, it's so important if you want to learn the whole craft of filmmaking. It's important to be in front of the monitor. I'm not saying in front of the monitor, but just be around that monitor area where your director is, and see how he's talking to his core team and DOP. That's where you learn the real. I was too busy running around, going mad, ye prop karo, ye wo, and going completely crazy. So what happened was, if I have to give you an example, I felt like I was sort of stuck in some kind of a tornado, and I somehow managed to come out alive in one piece. I said, Kya tha ye? What was this experience? And the same happened. I was also acting in Shaitan, and the same happened to David. David,
You didn't know what hit you basically. you were part of that.
I said, the David, I did production. I said, it's not that I don't want to do it. I don't think I'll ever be able to do this. This is some creative genius work, people who go out and make films. I don't think I'll ever be able to do that. That was my, I said, I can't. It just takes some different level of passion to go out there and make a film. I stopped right there. I stopped there, but there was this nagging feeling of what is happening with my career. I was busy with Shaitan, I did production in David, and though it really, I'm sure I learned a lot there, but it was, what was bothering me was, where is my career going, acting career? In my head, yeah.
This was also the time I remember, we were chatting about it. This was also the time you did take on production. You were doing, the roles that were coming your way. But you'd also, like you said, you'd also stopped accepting offers that weren't working for you.
Yep.
You took a very conscious decision that I am not going to do films just because of the fact that I want to keep myself in circulation. And you decided to sort of change lanes. Like, apart from the production work that you took on, you went back to your first love, dance, and also another hidden passion that you have, which is cooking. Yeah. What was that time like? Like, what did you think?
It was not easy to just say that, say goodbye to this, what I was doing, I don't think it ever ended for me. I wanted a change. I was not too sure, but in my head, I used to always see that, is this the end? This is all it is? And I was meant to do only this much. Nahi. Yeah. And that feeling I couldn't live with, it was just like killing me every day. And finally, I think I waited too long. And it's sort of, it's really started affecting me, where I just stopped going out and meeting people. What happens is, when you're still there in the industry, you meet a lot of people. When you go out, and people, you know for them it's like, what are you doing in life? What are you doing next? What is your work? I didn't have an answer. I was not very confidently, I could just say that I'm not doing anything. So that sort of got it was tough. It was tough. And finally I said, that's it. Let me try and do something else. So that's when I took a call. I went to London to study. I did my diploma in culinary arts. And I didn't know it was another different life, working in a running kitchen. First, I was obviously studying in London, and even that course was intense. It was like, I don't think I studied this hard in school, back in school. My day used to start at like 5 in the morning, and I had to study for 2 hours before going to my school. Like, I had to schedule my time like that. And so I'm crying every day thinking that I'm going to fail here. And I should talk to Bijoy then. If I fail, I'm not coming back to India. I can't fail in this, all that fear. Oh my God. But what a beautiful experience it was, staying in a different country. And, it was like a dream. But soon after I came back, yeah.
What happens when you have multiple passions? See, my point is that at the end of the day, this is something, you're deeply interested in cooking. And dance has been something, it's your first love. So I think dabbling in two things or another passion is also something which is not that, it's a worthy cause to take up when you feel that the other passion is sort of on the back burner.
Yeah, true. Can I tell you a very bizarre story I thought of? I don't know because it happened when I was studying in London. I remember working with Namit Das, this actor. We were part of this commercial together, and we were flying to Turkey. And I think Namit is going to get a jolt. What is she talking about? And it was one of those casual conversation, on the flight. We were talking about life and career, kya hone wala hai. And he was always this very charming boy, and like very positive boy. And he was just talking about, ki kya karna hai, what is our plan and whatever, So this was that time when I said, like, I don't think it's working for me. Maybe I should try and look at different option and all that. He said, like, Sheetal, very random, okay? This kind of one conversation stayed with me, and we were not even friends. And he said, you know what? Whatever you've done, this is like one small part of jo aapne kiya hai. There is more to achieve for you as an artist. And this, after many years, when I'm studying in London, it hits me, and it's just ringing in my head that what Namit Das told me. What Namit Das told me, ki kuch hai, there is something that I'm going to go back to. I don't think even he'll remember this, but it was so bizarre.
It's a very kind thing, that's why I think kindness really counts, because what your words can do to another person, or what you say to someone, how that might affect another human being.
I have not spoken to him after that shoot we did. I've never spoken to him. I'm sure I'm going to, like, if I get a chance to talk and to meet him again, I'm going to tell him about this story. Anyway, so that was that. London happened. I came back and I joined this restaurant here in Bombay. I interned for 3 months. Suddenly I was living this different life, with going into the kitchen and working for like 8 hours and all that. But even that stopped slowly. I worked, but I was not very happy with the whole setup and how the whole food industry works in India, to be honest. So I stopped after 3 months of, it was grueling. The training was crazy here, but I stopped. Then it was, constant. I felt like, I don't think anybody will be this lost in life.
It's not always bad to be lost. and especially when within that journey somewhere you find yourself,
It was too long, Smriti. It was like 6-7 years of my life. I'm just figuring out what I want to do, and yeah, that void was just killing me. I and then I got back. I got into dance again. I started teaching briefly for 2-3 months at my friend's dance school in Chembur. uh, Elizabeth Pereira, she runs a school, and she called me. She said, "Why don't you start back and do this?" And so briefly, I started that also. I started teaching dance, and uh, that stopped after a few months for me. I'm sitting at home feeling that's it. इसके बाद है ना, I'm gonna just lose my mind and just go mad completely. कुछ नहीं होने वाला life में. I don't know what I want to do, but there was this void in my heart that I think whatever I was doing, I was busy doing little things, but I was not happy.
Sheetal, but my take back from your journey, my big take back from this journey when I'm looking at it while you're speaking about it is that I look at you as a person that was consistently self-aware. When you were not getting the kind of offers that you wanted to get as an actor, you did take a break and you didn't put yourself out there and get into that rut of, let's be in circulation to be seen, because sometimes you can do more damage to yourself and more damage to your career when you do things without thinking, and you do it for reasons which are very cosmetic and not reasons why you actually got into the business. I think a lot of people also, unfortunately, and it's happened to all of us, we get very stuck with what we are doing when things are not working out. And we are not nimble enough to kind of go out there and say that, listen, we are not a tree, we can move. Let's try something new. You never know. So to keep yourself active, to keep your brain flowing, and to keep things churning inside so that you don't come to a state where you get so depressed or you feel so dejected that you're not doing anything. So your segue into production, your segue into studying to become a chef, to go out there and teach dance, a form of art that gave you so much, that gave you the confidence that made you come alive. I think these are very courageous things to do, and I wanted to take you back a little bit because I remember when we were discussing the challenges that you faced, apart from the slotting that happens when you're a successful model. See, the thing is, the slotting works both ways. You're a successful model, you get opportunity. You're a successful model, something goes wrong, they turn around and say you're wooden. And then you're slotted, and then you don't get the kind of offers that you need to get. People are not willing to give you a second chance. But I remember you also telling me that, when you did come to Bombay, you wish you were better prepared. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I came totally unprepared, to Bombay, and with zero knowledge about the city to, how to even start. So that is so important. And to kind of do a little bit of groundwork before you decide to kind of come and, start your career here, and to know few people who can help you with, even if you don't do some kind of a research. And I'm talking about that time was also different. 16-17 years back, we had, we didn't have access to too many things. Like, I feel a little easier today, but it's like you're on your own and you have to figure things out. And what really, it's your experience would just teach you. There is nobody to kind of sit and guide you how to go forward. And even the basic things about going for auditions is part of your job. And going for 500 auditions, go and do it. This is part of your job. And I remember going for 1 or 2 auditions and I never got a call, and I was so I felt this is it for me. I should pack my bag and go, because it's it's not working for me. I wish somebody told me that it's okay. This is part of your job, and continue doing that, and don't feel so dejected that it's not happening. So these are few things that I learned through my experience, and it was not easy for me. And constantly, even when you're going for audition, you don't know, you don't get a call back. You don't know whether you're progressing as an actor. you're just doing those things that because you don't know when and from where you'll get a call. So even those opportunities are so far and few. You're just waiting for that one call. Well, modeling phase, it's easier to get calls for your, those commercials and campaigns that you do. But film is a different business. Like today, to get a call from a good casting agent for a film, you're very lucky if you get like one call in 15 days. You're very lucky. Consider yourself lucky. Okay, that they are even calling you for it. There are people who will be waiting. You wait for months for that one call. So these are those things nobody will tell you. Also, to have a plan. I'm somebody who never planned in life. I don't work like that. For me, because when I started getting work so fast, I was just busy. Like, go with the flow. It's fine. But it's very important that if you're busy today, have a 2-year plan. Have a plan that what I'm gonna do, in the next 2 years or 3 years. You should have a plan. You should know what is happening. So these are few things that you have to constantly be aware of and work towards it. Instead of feeling a certain way, that give up hope and pack your bag and leave. So yeah.
These are very, very important things. Thank you for sharing this with everyone. The need to have a plan, the need to know the basics that you need to do in order to work within the industry and not feel dejected.
Yeah,
And also,
also I remember there are like few statistics, with, I don't know, I'm talking about few years back. Today, I don't know. 95% of actors are jobless, waiting for work, and they don't get call for any work for a whole year. Only 5% out of that, 5% are working continuously. You have to be in that 5% bracket. So you understand and I'm talking about few years back when I was trying. So these are few things one should really, really know what you're getting into, and just don't just land up in the city and कि चलो हो जाएगा मेरे भी मतलब मैं कर लूंगा या कर लूंगी नहीं होता है. Like come with a plan.
oh, thank you, because there are all these stories that I just took a train and I landed up in Bombay, and I was like, you're going to land up in a lot of trouble. So a little bit.
That's my story too, Smriti. That's my story too. I took a train and came to Bombay.
And that is why we are doing this session and telling everyone that before you take that train
I'll tell
to
you,
Bombay,
I was also, my biggest strength was this girl who couldn't step out of her house. I came to Bombay all the way alone to kind of.
way to go. But now coming back to that phase where you did go to you did start working, interning at a kitchen, you were teaching dance. How did the passion, and I know that you spoke about feeling that void, that
Yes.
at the back of your head you knew that this is not where your heart is. You're doing this, but you do connect with acting, back into acting. How did the passion for cinema reignite at that point of time?
It's. I think it's. It was really. I don't know how to put it, but really it was affecting me. I was in that time, and it was really tough. I think every single day you wake up thinking about what you want to do in life. What is my purpose? So I think it was emotionally draining me to all that was happening, and very randomly I saw this ad for Atul Mongia's workshop, and it was like I knew Atul Mongia, and not as a friend, but this was something that I said I always wanted to join his workshop, and very casually I mentioned it to Bijoy that, oh my God, he's doing this workshop, and he used to do this, I think, quarterly workshops, and I just saw it and I just brushed it off, saying that okay, theek hai, ye, I'm not going back to this, so it'll be a waste of time for me. Why am I even looking at it? So I'm having this conversation with myself and to Bijoy. Next thing I know, few days I think later, like Bijoy was like, I've enrolled you for that course. matlab 10 days ka, go and join. I had no words. I said, no, I'm not going back to, even that thing to say that to start all over again. Why am I joining this workshop again? Like, to do what? Too many questions in my head, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm excited, but I don't know my way forward. But so I joined this workshop, and, you know, uh, uh, the kind of uh, what you call the love I received, I got from my people who were part of that workshop, to Atul telling me that, Sheetal, you should act. That's it. This line, simple line, that you should act. And every day, that the 10 days of my workshop, I don't think I got that kind of an appreciation, you know, all my life, my entire career, I never got that kind of an appreciation. And when I got that in 10 days, when he told me, like, this is all you should be doing and nothing else. And I think I just broke down. I just cried, and there was some kind of reassurance that, I was not wrong. Maybe I should try again. That was like some sort of a defining moment for me to kind of sit back and reflect. Okay, let me give it another shot, and it's okay. I don't know how I'm gonna try all that feeling, but let me try. For me, it was like I was trying, it didn't work for me. How do I start again now? Who's gonna give me work? Yeah, so the whole planning after that, but I was so charged after that workshop. I remember, like, and he said there's something you should keep practicing as an actor. Keep doing your improvisation and do something. I think after 10 days, I'm back to this doing improvising with my fellow actors, and we were planning that, and very randomly we started talking about making show reels and all that. So I'm still struggling that if I'm gonna start again, how should I start? It's like, going back to zero and just starting all over again. So yes, I was.
No, so like you said, that basically Atul's and Atul is wonderful. Atul's workshop and spending those 10 days with creative people and people who gave you that kind of encouragement, gave you the confidence to kind of go out there and do this again. And you were desperate to create a show reel or some sort of a package that you could send out in the industry again, that sort of woke them up to your talent. And that is when siblings came your way. How did you get involved? How did this happen, and how did you get involved in writing it, as first steps?
Wow. Like I said, that I wanted to make a small show reel. And I was looking at different way of, like, how should I put all, like, take scenes from any film and just compile it together, and all those plans. So it just happened, I was taking some time, and one day Bijoy had some stories, and he said, why don't you take this story and see if you want to kind of do this, and work on this story, like, just to make a show reel. I saw that picture.
I know.
So,
I know.
you know, I read that story. It was about this two sister, and so there was a basic structure, and I don't know, something in me, like, when I read the story, and I said, I want to just, like, spend some time and understand the story, whatever that I'm gonna do, but I want to just, like, spend some time with that. Is it okay? She said, yeah, take your time. And I think those 5-10 days that I was reading that story, something in me just told me that I should change something in this. And I remember going back to him, and I had a conversation, and I said that I want to work on this story without knowing how that whole writing process works. But very confidently, I was like, I want to just change something in this story, even if I want to make a show reel. And he said, you can do whatever you want to. And there, slowly, I sort of like this. Suddenly, there was this whole plan in my life. I have a story in hand, and I'm going to kind of do work on this draft or do something. So I take my laptop, I go to a coffee shop, and I sit there, you know, that I'm gonna sit and start writing. I was just very happy just doing that, you know, like there is something exciting to look forward to. And I'm sitting and I'm staring at the laptop and thinking of what I can do, what I can write, and there is nothing coming in my head, you know, there's nothing happening. And I was like, okay, obviously, and I was, you know, I went, what I like that I was going every day, I would just go and sit in that coffee shop and just try and say ki aaj kuch idea aayega, something will happen, write one line. So it was literally starting from basic and not understanding ki how do you write. I remember calling him, I think I've just really troubled Vijay a lot, I think, with all this. How do you write, how do I, even if I have to start, what do you think I should do? He said, pick a scene, think of an idea. So that's how it all started. That's how it all started for me. But few weeks to that, I'm still sitting with that story, not knowing how to kind of go ahead and what to do with that. I made a list of writers I wanted to approach. Again, not with a plan. I said I need to work on the story, and I called Arpita, my co-writer for Siblings. I called her, and you know,
Strategy she, you know, she, another thing, before you even get into the process of writing or when you call the co-writer, initially your lens on the story was of an actor, right? Because right now the whole thing hadn't come about, you hadn't
yeah,
thought of directing this, so you were kind of looking at this story from a certain angle, and it was, you know, it was only the actor's angle, that
yes,
who should I play, how will this story play out, right? And
right.
then, and of course, you wanted a co-writer, so you started calling, and Arpita was the person that you called. Carry
Arpita was
on.
the first person I called, and she immediately answered, and she was like, yes. So this is my. I think I told her, I gave her a one-liner idea, and I said, and she's like, she talks too fast. For her was like, I'm free for next 3 days. Can you meet me tomorrow? And that's it. I went to meet her, and it was like our first meeting, and we just cracked the whole story. Like literally, we were talking, and it was magical. I think I really lucked out there. I lucked out, and how that the first person I decided to meet, and we started jamming on this idea, and I don't even know where I'm going with this whole thing, and how do you have a meeting with a writer, and how I'm going to even narrate those 4 lines to a writer, a professional writer. Very very uncomfortable and awkward, and I start talking to her, and then she connected immediately, and we were on the same page. I can't tell you how. I said, oh, it's so easy, you know, like this thing works like that. But no, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to find that right person for your story. I must say that I was lucky to find Arpita, who connected to my story, and what happened after that, you know, like that process, I'm grateful that I met her, and we sort of, you know, we just worked on this together. But it's not that easy, and you will know that well, I don't have that much of experience. I just did one film, but you know, you will know when the person is not right, that, you know, and you should always see that first step is very important when you go to meet, like especially with writing.
that it's very, very important to get a co-writer. That don't be in a hurry.
Don't be in a
Don't
hurry.
take
Yes.
Don't be in a hurry. If you are getting a co-writer, get someone who believes in your story, believes in you, and then from that space starts to work with you, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But Sheetal, you'd also told me that in those 3 days, Arpita asked you questions that made you learn so much because,
So the day one of our meeting was, we sort of got a structure to our story, and then I met her again, and we started sort of, we were discussing a lot. It was not that we started writing. We would meet at her place and we started discussing, and I was completely going with whatever, because she's was somebody with a lot of experience, and you know, I sort of, it felt like I got a short course, a short writing course from her, because like I said, then how do you do it? What is this? What is this? What does this scene mean? Like, I had few questions, but she bombarded me with 50,000 questions, awkward questions. She was asking me about, what is the core of your story? What do you mean by this character? And I'm like sitting there like, I don't know. You should know. If you want to write, you should know these things. And I was just taking notes from her. And so, how much I took out of that, like, even if it was for like 3-4 days of my time spending with Arpita, and it really helped me, and to even understand when something like, what is the core of my story, because whatever there in that story, I remember, it gave me a lot of clarity. It gave me a lot of that what my story should start from home. So what I see there, I see this father who's bedridden, and these two women, daughters, who are taking care of ailing father, and the root cause of my problem starts from home. So once I understood that, it became easier for me to kind of develop that into a whatever full-fledged story and that world. So these pointers, it's so, it's critical and it's so important to understand. Now, obviously, I'm sure people who take training or they work under somebody, they get some kind of an information, but somebody who's starting new, you have no idea, right? You're going with absolutely zero knowledge about how it all works. So these things are important to kind of have some basic idea, or and you'll be lucky when people teach you and tell you that how to do it. So I kind of, I'm very lucky, and I'm grateful that she came on board and she helped me with my story. So
she's a fabulous writer, and I'm so grateful to siblings and to you, because one of the things that happened because of siblings is that I also got to know Arpita Chatterjee's immense talent, screenwriter. Sheetal, once you knocked the story into place, both you and Arpita kind of developed it. At that point of time also, you weren't thinking of directing the film. You were only thinking about the film as a film that you will act in, and then that would be a showcase for you as an actor, and it would be your comeback material that will circulate in the industry. How did the idea of directing and acting in the film come about?
So I think after my meeting with Arpita and after working on the story, and we sort of changed the draft, completely. How it was before, how the Joy's story was, to how it changed. I went back with this story and showed it to Bijoy. That was so, like, when he read the story, it was like there was no expression on his face. He said, like, this is not my story. What have you done with this? And I said, this is the story that I've worked on, and with Arpita. And he said, but this is not my story. And initially it was such a it was so awkward for both of us to have a conversation. So what do we do? So silence in the room, and he's just looking at the story and looking at me that this is not my story. I don't know what you're doing with this. And we kind of had a little argument where he said that no, he started questioning me a lot of things, and for the first time, I s- uh, I I said this, that this is how I see it, and if whatever that I'm doing with this is how I want to make it. The first time that sentence came out of my mouth when I said this is how I want to make it. What do you mean by make it? Like, I'm asking myself, I'm not making it. Like, this is my story, yeah, but I'm not making it. But then I fought. I said, this is how I see it. So yeah, so that you know argument was tough, but I think he took a little time, and I think post that he was kind enough, he was generous enough to, he really understood. He understood as a professional that she should do this on her own. And he stepped back. He said, go, take it, and do it the way you want to. Don't compromise on your voice, whatever you're trying to say. I don't connect to this, but if you feel confident about it, go and do it. And it was such a big thing for him to say. Yeah. It was his story, and then I kind of whatever. And it meant so much to me. So I'm telling you, like, these were like few steps of confidence that it was leading me to something bigger. Like, it was not an overnight call. These were the moments where I felt he finally, when I took that call to make the film, these were the moments. It really helped me, and anyways, I was still with that story that I wanted to act and all that, and I was going with my story. I was trying to see and pitch my story to people, and people were like, "Who's making this story? Who's directing it? I know you're acting in the story, but who's directing it?" I said, "I really don't know, but I'm looking at options, so I know for sure that I don't want to give my script to anybody, but I'm not even like, it's not, hitting me that I should say that I want to make it. But I said, no, I can't make it. I have no experience in, this, and how will I go and if I say it, then I'll have to, then I have to go all the way. I can't back out. So, tough call. Tough call was to take a decision, and finally when that happened, I don't think people didn't support me. Like, when I said people, whoever I kind of went and met and discussed the script with, and I remember only Bijoy saying that you should do both. You should do both, act and make this film. And I said, I have no experience. He said, it's okay, it'll happen. Do it, it'll happen, do it. Because yeah, like, I get goosebumps when I think of it.
No, it's a very big call to take, especially when you're not. And the thing is that, of course, it's encouraging and it's confidence building when somebody tells you out there that, go out there and do it, and you're going to be able to manage. But the thing is that the managing of it is a whole thing altogether. What were you, when you took that decision, when you thought in your head, okay, fine, I'm going to go out there and do this, I'm going to be the director, I feel possessive about this story, so definitely I don't want to let go of this, and I want to do both things, because the very fact that I'm directing this is because I want to act in it, yes. Right? So what were your first steps as a director?
What happened was, I also spent a lot of time writing this story, and I got stuck after a point. So it was almost 8-10 months that I was sitting with that story, and making small little changes here and there, but I was not able to lock it. Your plan ahead is, once you lock your story, is when you start planning ahead. Your next step is, start getting team on board. So I'm still sitting with my story, and I remember that Vijay was like, so what are you doing? It's like, it was almost a year, and he said, are you not working on this, whatever that you were doing? And he said, abhi band kar do because it's not going to work. I don't think you are serious about it, and just close it. If you really want to do it, try and prove it. Shoot this film in next 2 months. Otherwise, it will never happen. So I just needed that little jhatka, and I just suddenly woke up and I said, no, but my script is not ready. He said, it'll never be ready. You'll never be 100% confident with your script. It's okay, whatever there is, it's fine. The story is working. Go ahead and make it. So that was my first jhatka. Second was, now what do I do? So, those steps were almost like, like a little child learning to walk. Iske baad, what do I do? So the plan was to now start and start calling people, and I remember making that list. I remember making the whole presentation that who all I wanted for my story. So my first, my first call was to Shivani, and I mailed her my story, and she read my script, and I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna say that I don't like it. What is this? And the call happens, and she said, so when are we meeting? My first meeting with Shivani, nervous as hell, and so important when you're going with your story. And here I've just took a call that I'm gonna also be directing this story, so that first narration is so critical. And she heard the story, and she said, when are you planning to shoot it? It was that quick. And I said, you like the story and you want to do it? She said, yeah, if I'm free on those days, whatever, whenever you're planning to, we'll do it. And that's when I had to kind of, start
It became real.
working backwards. It is happening. So then it was slowly setting your team. Called the first person I wanted for my film, my DOP, Harshveer Oberoi. He was this little boy during Shaitan. He was shooting the making of Shaitan, and young chap, and he is so brilliant. He just shot Arya recently,
Yes,
and also
yes.
Vijay's Tesh. So I called him and I said, okay, I have this story, and will you be free to meet and all that? And that first meeting happened with Harshveer. It was exactly like my meeting with Arpita. I don't know what was happening, but I had these, like people, like my dream team coming together. I wanted him for the story. He said, whenever you make it, I'll come and shoot it for you. And even it was so easier that he connected immediately to that story, and he saw it. So that whole conversation about what is the look of my film, colors, to understand. Yes, I started researching a lot. I was reading a lot about, how you need to kind of have those specific details. Now I'm coming to visually how you see your film. So these are your, you should know the referencing you do. And because when you have your meeting with your DOP and he agrees to come on board, your next meeting is you're discussing about the whole, the look of the film. So Smriti, I can't tell you how much I enjoy this whole process of getting all my HODs together, and my costume designer Gopika Gulwadi, to Neha Mishra, who co-produced it, to every buddy. They were like a dream. I felt like my production designer Anita Donald. So they, even Anita coming on board for me was like, no, she's never going to do it. And I met her, and that first meeting she said, I'll do it. I feel I feel I'm not boasting about this, that but they really helped me with this. I mean, they helped me.
Well, I also wanted to ask you that the director is the captain of the ship, right? The guiding light for everyone. Because it is your vision, it is the story. Of course, it's a collaborative effort, but you are the team's North Star. For someone who likes to be in the shadows, how did you prepare yourself to take charge?
I think I'm very poor with delegating work. I don't understand that part of it. So if I'll just say it once, and then I'll stop. It's like if that person is not doing it, I'll do it myself. So I think I prepped like mad for this. I knew that it's not my space, and there are a lot of things that I don't understand, and it's very critical that whatever that I'm doing, my prep is gonna like just train me. So I think I was just living, breathing, and eating. Literally, the story was with me. I'll just wake up thinking about my characters, or I should do this. So those few months were like waking up with a purpose that I'm doing something and planning, and I'm gonna make this film. So I've got very obsessed with the whole prep part of it. I
When
even
did
small things like like what, even those small props in each frame, I made a list and I said these are specifics I want. Yeah, your bigger things were like the ventilator machine at home, the whole medical setup. It was important to kind of know and see, understand what is a caregiver's work. I mean, it's not that it's the first time I'm doing it. I'm doing it for last 2 years. So it becomes like a thing that you're so used to, and handling all that. So you need to kind of know it well. Yeah, this is a story, but this was also very important part of it. I sort of, I remember going to this ICU too. I mean, they don't allow you to, and somehow I just begged and pleaded. I said, like, I just want to go and see the patients there in the ICU, like people who are on ventilator and all that. So I remember just standing there. I know I feel very terrible saying this. I was just watching them to see like what and the whole setup. So there were those every little thing in my story. I prepped for it. I prepped and prepped. So that
know that that is really, really important to know that basically there is no substitute for that kind of work. No matter what you're doing, the fact of the matter is that preparation is key. And if you don't prepare, and there were key learnings right there because, and I want to ask you about that because I know you prepped to another level. You even shot, I know Harshveer was not available till the day before the shoot. So you guys can see it on MAMI's Instagram. We put up a video about Sheetal's session. You can see the before and after because Sheetal actually went out there and shot the shots before she was actually on shoot. So you can see a before and after. That video is lovely. Sheetal, thank you for putting that together for us and for the people who are going to be watching your session. I want to understand what were the days leading up to the shoot like. Because I know that there were new problems that sprang up and the prep really helped you deal with that.
Yeah, so like your story, and you're prepping for it, like putting it together, getting a team, and that is one part. Then comes the whole choreography of the scene, how you're seeing the scene come alive, and to like time your scene, to all those things. So as I was coming closer to my shoot, I had to sit and have that whole discussion with my DOP Ashveer, and he was traveling I think that time, and so I remember talking to him on the phone that, listen, what I want to do is this is me just thinking out loud that how we can shoot this story. So I said, can we get a house and for free, and obviously you'll have to have hire a camera. What I want to do is I want to just like place my actor in the house. Like I obviously will need that kind of time from my actors also. Just leave them and let them live. Like I know my story now. Let them be in that house like for 1 or 2 days, and slowly we start just following my actors. That was my initial plan. I said, this is how I want to do. I don't want to land up on the set with this whole setup and everything and just tell my actors, आपको यहाँ से वहाँ जाना है, you have to do this and that करके. I said, no, I don't want to do that. It's too mechanical in my head. I want to go very organic. I want to kind of just follow my actor, my ideal, way of shooting the story was that, and he just laughed. He said, "Sheetal, ऐसे नहीं होगा. You can't just shoot for. ऐसे तो तुम है ना, you'll be shooting for days in that house. Like chill करते हैं, we'll shoot something and all that. And he said, that's how I want. That's how I want. I said, it can't happen.
We'll be there for another year shooting this film.
In my head, I said that house without with if you're getting a house for free, we can do that. Chalo, let's just steal a camera and just shoot it or something. In my head, I'm just thinking all that, and suddenly, as we were like coming close to our shoot, I was told that those guys actually, what happened was they kind of they hiked the price. Like we were getting that location for free, for some almost for free, and suddenly it was they were asking some lakh, 2 lakh per day cost, okay, for a short film, and suddenly we had to take a call that we can't go ahead, we can't pay that kind of money, and we'll have to cancel our shoot. So and I said, I'm not doing it. This is after everything is locked and your days are locked with your actors, everybody, the team is on board, and these are my days of shoot, and these guys, the location is like they suddenly hiked the price, and they said you have to itna to aapko pay karna hai. And I told Bijoy that that's it, just cancel it, because I'm not going ahead. I don't want to do that. I don't want this pressure of, it's so expensive and I can't shoot with that pressure. And see, now these are your things you don't plan for. Okay.
These are the things, and that's where prep helps. That's where
That's
this
what prep helps. But
Yeah.
he, because we had prepped so much, he went for the tech recce to that location and all that. Bijoy took the call and said that you will shoot here. We will figure it out. We ended up paying a lot of money, but he didn't step back. He said a producer was like, no, we will pay that money and you're shooting here. It was a tough call, and I said like, this is a short film. I don't even know who's going to buy this film. We can't spend this kind of money. But he was like hell-bent. He said, we are going to do this.
But Sheetal,
Yeah.
despite the fact that your producer happened to be Bijoy, who believed in the film, and then later the film was sold, and he was right about the content. So it's not like it was not just an emotional call; it was a call that was taken based on the merit of the project. And but you still did not. I mean, you were thinking that you will have days and days to shoot, but I know that the shoot time was reduced to something like 48 hours.
This
You
shoot
did.
time, yes, and yeah, also one very tricky call where I was asked how many days of shoot. Once you start scheduling your on paper, so you should know that how many number of days to shoot. And he asked me that how many days you need to shoot this film. You know what I said in my head? I said 20 days. I said 20 days. तू feature film नहीं बना रही है. It's a short film. You will not get 20 days. And he said you'll get 5 days to shoot this film. That is 3 days in the house and 2 days of exterior, whatever that road shots and all that. I said no way, I cannot do it, and it was a long story. Like I said I can't finish it. And he said if you don't finish it, you'll miss out. Whatever you miss out, you figure on the edit table, but this is the time you get. Like he was very strict on very professionally he will talk to you. There is no 5 days means 5 days. That's the budget. Just figure it out. Again, these were my, stress level. How am I going to plan it? How I'll do it? So as I was nearing close to the shoot, I have to tell you, I fell ill. I had severe anxiety, and I had fever, and this is just 4 days before my shoot. And I got up and I had a lot of anxiety, and this is struggling with that, and then you are just planning for your shoot and you're going to be acting in the story. And I said, if I freeze on the floor, I don't know what will happen, but it's just like going for a war. Fight it, mar jaoge to mar jaoge, but then go fight and come back. And I mean, somehow it worked out. Yeah, it was not easy.
Sheetal, how did I really, this is such an interesting story and so many lessons in there for people who make films. But I want to know now that with this lead up, how was it when you stepped on that set and said action for the first time?
Oh, I was not very confident when I had to say action. I think when I said action, even I couldn't hear I said action. You know, it was like,
1 second, I want everybody to hear this. We just want to play one clip of seeing director Sahiba say action on her set.
no, I think action. Oh, here I sound a little confident. Cut.
Listen, you do this like a boss. Action, and then you're looking all. Come on, give me that take.
No, but the first day of action was like, I remember talking to Vijay, like, how am I going to say action? And when I had to say action, I almost, like, this is how I said action. Vijay was like, nobody heard. Sheetal, be loud. You have to be loud. The whole crew has to hear action. So, anyway, so, yeah.
So, Sheetal, basically the thing is that I want to come to, two slightly generic questions. And then open the house out for questions to all the amazing people who are right now on the session with us but have their videos off. What are your key learnings from this experience?
Like, I think it's important. I feel it's important to have some kind of exposure if you can train under someone to get that little experience, or if you go and study. I think that's very important. You can't just one day decide that if I want to do this, I can just start right away. It requires some kind of a training or some experience on some even basic level to understand how, starting from writing your story to how to run a flow. This on your own, you can't just go, even however prepared you are. These things are, I think, if you can, find access to that, go and, be on a set and just see how that works. So I'm just taking like step by step, be it from writing to getting your crew together to, so some kind of basic training is needed. I think even that time when I assisted Bijoy and Shaitan or David, it helped me, right? What I did with that, I'm sure all that helped me, today when I decided to make a film. So some kind of a basic training is very must. And it's your story. Your story is everything. And you can't, take time with your story, really know your story well, know what you're trying to say. Like Arpita said, know the core of your story, those little things that when she taught me. So spend a lot of time with your story is very, very, very crucial. Well, this was my learning, and that I spent that much time with my story, I got some kind of a clarity, and it kind of, and also the prepping part of it made it easier. So yeah.
So basically, prep, knowing your story, spending time with it, those are the kind of key learnings. You'd also told me at one point of time that, like you had difficulty delegating. And once you went through this experience, you also got to know how to do things on set. And now when you make your second film, it would be kind of better for you because you know the kind of things you should spend your time on and the kind of things you shouldn't spend your time.
Right.
As
For the first time when you're doing, when you're making a film, you end up doing a lot of work, but it's also needed. You should know. I mean, I feel even if you have your assistant, with you, I believe that even if I make my second film tomorrow, I'll be doing all these things. This is for my comfort, because I don't come from this background of experience as a whatever, because this is where I'm learning. So I'm gonna do this all over again. So getting an assistant, whatever you're delegating, but still, as a practice, one should do it. You should do it yourself too. Like, you know, that's how I see it, and I think it's just people to people, and they have a different way of working, and you know. So
Sheetal, I also wanted to know from you that in the last 17 years that you've spent in the industry doing different things, what are the things, look at the discourse around us right now. I know that all of us want to look inwards, all of us want to, kind of look at the systems and the way things happen in the industry or any industry, but this is the one that we are in. What are the things you would like to see change to make it a more humane place? Because I remember you said in the session that your first film was not a great experience. There were a lot of challenges that you faced since the time you started, and all newcomers and even people working within the industry face those challenges at different stages in their life. So as a person who's been working in the industry almost for 2 decades, what are the things that you would like to see change to make it a more humane, a slightly better place with a better experience for people?
I think the industry, there should be some kind of a guideline or some kind of a platform where you can just help, your newcomers. I'm sure there are agencies who are managing people's work to, all that. But there are a lot of people who find themselves lost, and, they don't know their way. Yes, that's one thing. Uh, Even for a newcomer, I feel, like I said it before, that you should also do some prepare for that. It's important. Just don't go unprepared that I'll just land up and sab ho jayega. Some kind of groundwork is needed. Do your know and know what you're getting into, know a little bit about the industry. I'm sure a lot has changed today. You have so much information around you, you have access to people. I'm sure it's become easier, but it's very important to come with a plan, come with a solid plan. Don't just land up even today, like whatever that it'll happen, I just have to make this one call to this one, that one. It's a long uh, uh, think what you're getting into. You should be sure of, you should know it, do your research, and all that is very important, I feel. uh, and and also there's things about when people don't prepare you with, like today I understand the whole importance of why going for auditions are must, and like even going for many auditions and people might not call you, and it's part of those rejections are also part of your job. And uh, so these are like little things one should know it before you start off. I don't know if I'm making sense. But yeah.
Sheetal, you're making a lot of sense. This was very useful. Thank you for so generously sharing not only your experience but your struggles. Your anxiety, your nervousness, your will to try, new things. I want to tell everyone to switch on their cameras now, guys. Come out of the hiding and 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 join us. Can we please unmute Harman Khurana?
Hi, Sheetal. It was a great session. I wanted to ask that I'm still exploring myself, and like you had that sphere where you were doing trial and experimenting. So, as a beginner, how do you find your dream team where people believe in you and give you that opportunity to actually go for it and showcase your talents or just pitch even your ideas?
See, if, like once you know that you have worked on your story and you're ready to take your story to the next level, your next obvious step is to get your team together. It's important to kind of make a list of people that you can approach and you have access with. You know, uh, that's and it's your story, and it's as simple as I know that if they connect to your material, they will respond, they will call you back. I mean, I don't know, I think some kind of an experience is needed. So it's important to know that the kind of people you want, and approach them directly with your script and see the kind of response you get. And that's the process, you know, that's how you have to go with that. Yeah. And even if you you know uh, it can't be just one person. I remember, like, I had 5 options. I knew that if this person says no, I'm going to go to the next one. If that person says no, I'm going to go to the third one. So you should also be ready for that. So I had like 5 to 6 options ready. I was lucky that the first person said okay, but you should be ready that they all might just say no, and then you keep trying. The idea is to kind of, if you believe in your story, you know, you keep approaching people till you find the right people for your script. And I think at that stage it's also very critical to not get not compromise there. You should still believe in, you know, because what happens is that chalo koi bhi nahi aa raha, so I'll take this one and make it work.
Right.
Very critical. And if you're not 100% sure, don't do that. Don't compromise on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheetal ma'am, for telling us all the stories of your journey that you have had before, because it's a very similar process for me. I've been a part of as an architect for 10 years, and I'm now shifting to filmmaking. So I've tried different things as well. So currently I'm trying to understand and learn script writing. And this session, as it is called, like the first time direction and script writing, how did you figure out your own process? So it's, for me, I'm trying to figure out my process. So my question is, like, when you try to pitch a film, you try to pitch it differently to different people who are you collaborating with. Like for the producer, it is a different film because he's going to put money on it. Then for the director, if I'm only writing the script, for the director, it's going to be a different thing. For a cinematographer, so how, like, do you change the draft of the script while pitching in or while registering it for SWA? So how do you differentiate between these different drafts when you're pitching it for different people within the team?
Actually, it's a great question, Abhishek. It's a lovely question.
No, I was not changing my draft. I think my draft remained the same once I when I almost locked my story. I was not changing it while pitching it to different people. It stayed the same, and this is purely from my experience with my short film. I can only tell you that much. I don't know how other people do it, what their process is, but with my script, once I knew that this is all I have, I kept changing the draft while I was writing. But post that, when I started pitching my story to my team and the people I wanted on board, I stuck to it. I stuck to what was there on paper. Be it my HO, the DOP, or be it my costume person or the production designer or my actors. It was the same story and the same narration I was giving to all.
Like just a small addition to it, like my question was like when you are telling this narrating the story to the actor and the other people, like the small nuances of a specific dialogue and the emotion behind the dialogue, do you write it specifically in the draft, or it's mostly of a verbal conversation that happens with different people?
I wrote a lot on my paper. I had every beat of it on my paper. It sort of, but that was my process, and you don't need to kind of, and it's only your study with that, so that you don't forget things even while you're narrating or even when you go on the floor. So I wrote a lot, like every little beat of whatever that made sense to me, and that was my Bible. So yes, it was like a messy draft. There was just notes everywhere. So, yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So my question really is, when you start developing the story, right? Because I watched Siblings first of all, and it's really beautiful. So how do you go about like differentiating between the fiction and the real circumstances? And by that, what I mean is, like when you're writing the story, how much of are you aware that those, because when you talk about him not being well, he's ill in the movie, right? The father, he's bedridden. So how much of it is fiction, and because you need to write like be careful about small elements, right? Like he is on the ventilator, and what exactly is the disease, and those things. So how do you differentiate between that, and how do you write that, the whole process?
I think the main thing is that how do you balance between drama and authenticity? How much reality do you keep and how much do you sacrifice for drama?
I think for me, authenticity was the key. I was, like when you see it, you should feel like this is happening for real. I don't know if I'm making sense. So the world that you're creating was very close to, if I'm making sense, it should be something, okay, this is my story, but if I'm creating this, this is something happening in my house. I'm gonna show it as it is. I'm not gonna have like do something for drama. Like I'll come to this point where the father was ill, and the last call when the mother takes to pull the plug, and that was drama for me. And it was also killing me that that's going a little, you know, uh, there where I wanted to go as as real and authentic there, and I really struggled to even construct and choreograph that scene. That was a little drama for me, but my challenge and struggle was to stay close to making it and showing it as real as possible. Every beat of my story, every moment, I did that. Yes, I really struggled there, and the whole end scene of when you see the both two sisters coming back together, and uh, that was a little tricky space for me to kind of, I kept working and I kept changing that. But uh, so am I making sense, Smriti? If Smriti can answer your question.
Where is Surabhi?
Yeah, no, I really got
We understood.
no, I got a little confused in framing. What I really meant was like I mean, I did get a pretty good answer out of you. What I meant was the research part of it. Like, how much did you have to research about it? Like, about everything.
Research about the problem, about the father's ailment,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, a lot, a lot. I did a lot of research. I studied. I was reading about a family taking care of patients at home.
Yeah.
A lot of that. And I'm not saying just Google and find out, but then you should try even around you, if people, you can get information. I'm going to quickly cover this, like, because while I was shooting this well, I was close to while I was prepping for my film, I remember this friend of mine, like you've seen the film, so you know what happens in the story, that the father has been bedridden for 2 years and he's in coma. To see that can a person be in coma and you can take care of them at home. I saw a lot of those stories, and I was reading about it. And a friend of mine called me one day, and I had not spoken to her in 10 years. She just called me one day and she came over to see me. So bizarre, like these things that happens, And I remember her coming to my place, and we were spending time. And I think as she was leaving, she said something about going for a therapy. And all the time we were talking about different things. I was like, what therapy? It's like, I'm going to someone's house and this person is in coma. And this is when I'm going to shoot my film next month. This friend of mine randomly, like after 10 years I meet, and she said, I'm going for a therapy because this person is in coma and I'm treating her. And I said, what? Tell me a little more. You have to be open to those kind of things. And it just like she showed me this video, and she told me about how this lady who collapsed one day and she slipped into coma, and she was in coma for 16, 17 months. And the whole family, her husband, 2 children, and husband's mother, their life was just, I can't say it, just like what was happening in my story, but they were like gone. They didn't know how to kind of, and they were doing that day in and day out. And I can't say this, but she showed me the video of that person. it was very difficult to see that. And it's the whole thing that what I was making, somebody told me that whole story that really was happening. It happens around us. I think it's very important to kind of, yeah, keep your eyes and ears open and just see what happens. But this is, yeah, I read a lot about it, and I took all that from there and put it in my story.
So my question is, how did you put yourself in shoes of writer, actor, and director at the same time? Like sometimes their desires or they sees the film in different way. So how did you manage between those?
Uh, it was very challenging and extremely challenging. Like when I was discussing about my process, what really helped me was, like when I said I prepped like mad. So there was a lot of clarity with the story, and when I was on the floor, I was able to focus on everything individually. I could, it's not as easy as you say, but because when you're there, you don't know what you're doing, but you should just know that it should happen organically. And for that, your preparation is important. Me playing Dia on floor at the same time, I'm also directing my shot and telling my actor, this is what I want from you. So it's like 4-5 work happening simultaneously. Nothing can prepare you. Whatever I did, it sort of worked out. It is very challenging. It was very tricky, but I had to just let go. And all that prep that I did, once I was on the floor, I was able to focus on every bit individually, and it just happened organically. It was not easy, but I had to be aware that if I am nervous, it's gonna show on my face because I'm also facing the camera. But things were also happening so fast that when I would just say my dialogue, and when you say cut, and my the lady, that old lady, would just come and ask, I forgot my lines. Can you sit with me? I had to sit with her lines. So there are so many things that is happening, simultaneously, and you only know it when you do it. So I learned from it. It was not easy, but just the whole prep part of it really helped me. Another thing was when playing Dia was easy for me because these were not like two glamorous people on screen, and they didn't have to look pretty. So because I was shooting and I was directing, after one day there was so much. This was day one of shoot. I'm still looking fresh. After one day, after finishing my shoot, I finished my shoot, and after we wrapped up, it was 3 o'clock already. Came back, and I had to be back on set at 6 o'clock in the morning and start rolling in 1 hour. So I got no time to sleep. Literally 3 hours. You wake up and you run. But what happens? You're struggling and you go and run. It's showing on my face. So it showed on my face next day. Luckily, it helped me because Dia had to look like that. Dia had to look tired. Dia had to look haggard. But it was also my learning that next, if I pick a story where if I have to look a certain way, if I have to look pretty and all, managing everything can be very tricky. It's difficult. So in this story, it worked out for me. But yeah, next I'll have to think about it if I can act in my story or not. So yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. It was quite insightful. My question is actually almost a follow-up to what Neil asked, and I wanted to understand, while I understand it was quite demanding, I think, to be in all these shoes and all these roles, how did each of it help you kind of bring out the best of the other? So for example, because you were the writer on this project, you were also the director, but you were also acting. So how did that process kind of help? So how did writing help acting? Or because you're also a performer, how did that come through in your writing or directing?
See, I'll tell you, I only knew it, I knew a story from an actor's point of view. But when I started working, on the story, and I don't think I had a favorite. Like, Dia was not my favorite. Nidhi was also my favorite. Dadi was also my favorite. The father was also my. So I own that story and all the characters. They were equally. It was my baby. It was my story, and all my characters were dear to me. I was ready to leave Diya. If Nidhi was interested to do Diya, I would have said, "You take that part." Because for me, what counts is it's the whole story. So that changed from an actor's point of view, when you're only looking at the story and what is your part and how significant your part is, to this change suddenly when you're looking at a story and the whole character, you know, all characters are important for you. That change was something else. I mean, I remember when I think Dadi was the only one who kind of really struggled saying her dialogues, because she couldn't really speak in Hindi well. So she was she was a little lost on the set, and she just needed this constant guidance. And I was also somebody that I was acting, I needed my space to be in that corner while I'm doing other things. But I don't think as Diya I got that time for myself. Any actor who came forward and said that I need help, I was just there. You know, it's
Right.
just like you were looking at it as whole and never individually like, no, only my part should be good and I have to do well. So, yeah.
My question for Sheetal is that, Sheetal, how much technical knowledge of filmmaking did you have on day one of being a director? And I'm asking because as a writer, if you feel comfortable that you know your story inside out, when do you know that it is enough to have the drive to bring this to life and maybe let the craft take over, let the technicians, let the crew take over, or should you spend more time honing your craft first? When do you know you've crossed that threshold and you're now ready?
So let's just break it. You asked me like 2-3 things, right? Your first part of the question was technically, you know, how sound you were. Zero. Technically, I was zero. I was, I had no idea about the whole camera work to all that. But you know, as like when I spent time with my story, I I went with the whole visual part of it, how I was seeing my story. And that language was very critical with my DOP when I discussed that this is how I'm seeing it. For example, I'll give you an example, then you'll understand it better. For example, Nidhi's story when she I don't know if you've seen the film. Have you seen the film? So Nidhi's story when she meets the guy and there is this whole tension. So I just wanted to cover it. I wanted to take a long shot of that. So this is how I spoke to my my DOP. I said I want a long shot of that and just track in. And when you track in, when you see those two people in that silhouette shot, I want to see Nidhi's eyes. Go close and then cut to the boy. You understand, breaking it like this in basics. And I don't think it was very difficult to kind of explain. So what happens here, I was able to explain this much to my DOP and he understood. So every scene was broken like that, where it was clear in my head that how much I wanted to shoot, and I wanted to shoot mid, I wanted to go really tight close, or I want this color, the color of the house, it's just all peeling. So every little things were crystal clear in my head. Why? Because I think this story, I worked on that story so much that so this happened to me. I don't know whether I don't know, like I don't think I knew any other way to kind of do that. But I had a conversation with my DOP and I told him I don't really understand. So he said, whatever that is, just explain it to me. And I explained everything to me. I said, for him it's like, this is more than enough. We get it. We were on the same page. And even the color for the film, sitting on the DI and getting that right color, the mood of the film, those things were also the chai scene. The chai scene in the film had a very different mood. It was all gloomy. The whole film was shot, but that particular chai scene after that whole fight had a certain mood to it. That color I wanted a bluish tone. to explain all that was not like, this is how I explained it to my DOP and he understood. So once you have your story, it's important to kind of start referencing and pick out your favorite, whatever, however your process is, like frames or the colors you like. Make a story, like, this should be the color palette, and this should be the mood, this is how I see my frames. So once you have that also visually, you can explain. And uh, so yeah, so technically this is how I worked, and my DOP understood, so I didn't struggle there.
I wanted to ask, how many drafts of the screenplay did it take you to reach where your final film was? Did you stop writing before the shoot, or did you continue writing even while when you were on the shoot?
How many drafts I wouldn't know in numbers, but I spent about almost a year with that story. I'm sure the basic structure was there, but I kept changing the scenes here and there. I kept adding a lot of stuff. So those 8 to 10 months was me just making those basic changes, and like, even to understand that when to lock your story. Like I said, I was not confident, and I was just sitting with my story there thinking that there is more to it. Also the dialogue, I really struggled with the dialogue. So once you have your complete script ready, you have to also work on the dialogue. And I changed the dialogues too many times. I was working on that till my last day of shooting. This whole scene with the, have you seen the film? Have you seen Siblings? Okay. The whole scene with the boy when she on the Tinder walk, the whole dialogue happens. It was written fresh before, like half an hour before, we just improvised and we did that. So there was a dialogue there. He understood the whole mood of it. But then I said, just go with me, talk to me like a stranger. I just took that chance. I just had 15 minutes because we were doing guerrilla shoot covering there. So we didn't have time. We just had to quickly do that walk shot and all that. So everything had to be perfect. 10 minutes I got with my actor and I said, let's just do a run through. Just say however you feel. Like if you say hello to a Tinder, whoever the girl you've met for the first time. And there were dialogues that just came naturally. I wrote it. We somehow mugged it and took that shot in like half an hour. So these were like, that happened on the spot, like the dialogue part of it. My draft changed, like the little changes I did here and there. But like I said, I was shooting my film, but I thought that, oh, there's something wrong with my script. It's still not working. So I don't think that you're ever like 100% confident that, this is it. Now I can go and shoot it. There's always something you want to keep adding and removing. It'll work for you today and tomorrow you want to just take it out. So that process is just there till your last day of shoot. But then you do it and you do it. And you, even if you make that mistake and you feel like, shit, mujhe ye dialogue nikal dena chahiye tha, I should have taken the scene out of my film. It's okay. It's not a mistake. It's your learning. And you should just like today, if I watch something, some bits I do feel that I cringe. I see I shouldn't have done this much or whatever. But that's part of your process, no? That's how you learn. So it's okay. So don't be so harsh on yourself that, like I'm not ready and I can't lock my script and move forward. I think you need to take that call and go ahead.
I think the scene that you were talking about, I think we have the video of that you prepping for it.
Oh no!
नहीं
क्या?
हंसी
हंसी आ रही है बहुत. When I was casting this guy, like Delhi. This was
Guys,
the casting audition.
This was the
casting audition when I was.
Sheetal, thank you so much for giving us so much time. Guys, thank you so much.
But I have to thank everybody. Thank you guys for being here today. This is really special for me. it's like a career highlight that I'm part of this series and this session. Thank you, Smriti. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Please, thank you. And we are going to be taking a break for a week and coming back again with another session on the 17th of September with Anvita Dutt, who's a brilliant creator. And if nothing else, guys, we need to take tips from her for all the cool clothes that she wears. So Anvita is going to be our next mentor on Dial M for Films. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Sheetal, once again. And thank you all the participants who asked such lovely questions and who have faith in us, consistently join us. We are going to be back on the 17th. So plug in and send us your feedback, send us suggestions for the kind of sessions that you would like to see. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.